Welcome back to Story Sprout, the place where every tale blooms with kindness, compassion, and life-changing lessons. If you love stories that warm the heart and remind us of the power of humanity, make sure to stay till the end. Today's story will show how a simple act of kindness from a humble mechanic brought tears to the eyes of a billionaire mother and changed both their lives forever. It all started on an ordinary morning in a busy city. The streets were alive with the sound of honking cars, rushing footsteps, and the endless race of people chasing time. In the middle of it all, a woman named Catherine, one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the country, found herself stranded. Catherine wasn't just wealthy, she was considered a powerhouse in the business world. But that morning, her expensive luxury car stopped working right in the middle of a less affluent neighborhood. Frustrated, Catherine stepped out of the car. She checked her watch repeatedly, knowing she had an important meeting to attend. Her phone buzzed with endless messages, and her assistant kept calling, reminding her how crucial her schedule was. Catherine, though used to control and efficiency, felt a rare sense of helplessness. As she stood by her car, a man in grease-stained clothes walked toward her. His name was David. He was a local mechanic, known in the neighborhood not just for fixing cars but also for his humble and kind heart. David noticed the distressed woman and approached gently. "Looks like you've got some trouble, ma'am," he said softly. Catherine gave him a quick glance. She was not used to strangers approaching her so casually, and for a moment, she hesitated. But then, realizing she had no other option, she sighed, "Yes, the car won't start, and I'm already late." "Do you know anything about engines?" David smiled warmly. "That's what I do. Let me take a look." "Don't worry, we'll get you moving." Without waiting for permission, David knelt down, opened the hood, and began checking the problem. Catherine crossed her arms impatiently. She couldn't help but think about how different their worlds were. She was a billionaire, dressed in a designer suit, while this man worked with bare hands, covered in oil and sweat. Yet, something about his calm presence began to ease her frustration. As David worked, he asked gently, "Where do you need to go in such a hurry?" Catherine, trying to avoid unnecessary conversation, muttered, "A meeting." "An important one." David nodded, focusing on the wires and valves. "Meetings can wait, but safety on the road can't. I'll make sure you're safe first." His words, though simple, carried a weight Catherine hadn't expected. In her world, everything revolved around deadlines, deals, and profits. But here was a man prioritizing her safety over her status. Within minutes, David managed to restart the car. He wiped his hands on a rag, leaving behind streaks of grease. "It should work fine now," he said with a smile. "But I suggest you get a full check later. For now, you're good to go." Relieved, Catherine reached into her designer handbag and pulled out a stack of bills. She handed them to David. "Here, this should cover it." David shook his head. "No need, ma'am, it was just a quick fix." Catherine frowned. She was not used to being refused. "Don't be ridiculous. Take it. Your time and effort are worth something." David looked her straight in the eyes. "Sometimes, kindness is worth more than money. Maybe one day, when someone else needs help, you'll remember this and do the same." "That's payment enough." Catherine froze. Those words pierced straight into her heart. She was a billionaire who often measured value in numbers, deals, and wealth. Yet here stood a man, with nothing but honesty and grease on his hands, teaching her a lesson about true value. She got into her car, still stunned. As she drove away, her mind kept replaying his words. For the first time in years, she felt small tears forming in her eyes. A stranger, a mechanic, had reminded her of something she had long forgotten: humanity was not measured in money, but in kindness. Later that evening, Catherine canceled her dinner plans and drove back to the same neighborhood. She searched until she found David's modest little garage. He was there, working on an old car, humming a tune. David looked up, surprised. "Back so soon? Car giving you trouble again?" Catherine shook her head and stepped closer. "No, I couldn't stop thinking about what you said. About kindness being worth more than money." Her voice trembled slightly. "I realized I've spent so long chasing success that I forgot the simplest things in life. You reminded me." David wiped his hands again, unsure what to say. "Sometimes life gets too busy, but kindness keeps us human. That's all I believe." Catherine's eyes glistened. She was not a woman who cried easily, but at that moment, the tears rolled freely. "You made me cry today, not out of sadness, but because you reminded me of something my late mother used to say. She always told me, never forget the value of kindness. And somewhere along the way, I forgot." David simply smiled. Then maybe it was meant for you to remember today. The next week, Catherine did something unexpected. She set up a foundation dedicated to helping mechanics, laborers, and ordinary people who struggle to make ends meet. She named it the David Foundation, in honor of the humble mechanic who had opened her eyes. When she returned to tell David, he was shocked. "You didn't have to do this," he said quietly. Catherine placed a hand over her heart. "I did, because kindness deserves to be multiplied. You gave me a gift I can never repay. But maybe this way, together, we can pass it on." From that day forward, Catherine and David remained unlikely friends. She, the billionaire mother who once thought money could solve everything, and he, the mechanic who believed kindness was priceless. Their story spread across the city, touching countless lives. And every time Catherine looked at the foundation's name, she remembered that a man with grease on his hands and a heart full of compassion made her cry the most meaningful tears of her life. Because sometimes, it is not wealth, not power, not luxury, but the simple kindness of a stranger that leaves the deepest mark on our hearts. Thank you for watching Story Sprout. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Spread kindness, because you never know whose life you might change with just a little act of compassion.